Hi, I'm Brittany, and welcome to Proverbs Study. So today we are studying Proverbs 12 and 13. Proverbs 5, 12, and 13. So Proverbs 5:12 says, "And say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof." Verse 13 says, "And have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear to them that instructed me." So I'm going to recap the first, the beginning of this thought. So starting at really at verse 1, it's talking about my son attended to my wisdom. Then verse 3 says, "For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil." So we're still talking about the strange woman, and it's significant, apparently. Okay, so it says, "Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house." And that's verse 8. So 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are unless this happened, unless that's happened, unless this happened, beware of this, beware of that. So verse 12, it says, "In the list of things, and also, and say, how have I hated instruction." So the last verse, verse 11 says, "And thou mourn at the last when thy flesh and thy body are consumed." So at the end of your life, you're going to be mourning when your flesh and your muscle are consumed, completely sucked dry. Okay, and then verse 12, it says, "And say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof." So this comes from the Hebrew, and it says, "And say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof." So these words are very interesting. Okay, so "and say" is straightforward, but it means declare. Okay, so you're going to get to a point of exasperation where you're going to say out loud, "Oh man," and you're going to make a declaration. You know, when you get to the point where you have to say something out your mouth about what you're going through because it's just so much, you're going to get to that point if you don't follow the voice of your father and incline to his instructions. So that declare is interesting. And what are you declaring? How. But it's interesting, the word how. Okay, so let's go back. A mare is "and say." How is ek. Okay, it's so interesting the way it's said, because it's like that sound just sounds like a sound of disgust anyway, but the way that this is expressed on Blue Letter Bible app is just so interesting. How, it's like a how, and this how is in lamentation or in sorrow. Okay, so it's the regret of what you've done. Okay, when you've gone down this path and you went towards the door of this strange woman's house. Maybe you didn't even go in, but you went towards the door, right? You're going to say this. Okay, how, what is it saying? Have I hated. Okay, and that's the word. It's spelled like sane, S-A-N-E, but I think it's sane, something like that. And it says just hated, hateful, but often opposed to is interesting. So you're often opposed to instruction is the next word. You're often opposed to instruction. So this is just, so when the father is saying, listen, 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 this is not the first time he's saying it. This is because we are all often opposed to instruction, right? And so what does that word instruction mean? That word instruction is musar, and it means instruction, correction, chastening, discipline, chastisement. Okay, so that is significant. But then what do these words mean? So what does the chastening mean, right? So chastening, it means of a rebuke or misfortune, right? Having a restraining or humbling effect. Wow. So what you're going through, right? There's something for you in it. We can always learn a lesson in everything that we experience. So it's going to have a restraining or a humbling effect. So you go down this path, you realize it's a mistake, you declare, how have I hated? Why didn't I listen to my father? Right? How have I hated instruction? This is that feeling is a feeling of chastisement. So this instruction is the chastisement. It's supposed to restrain you. And it doesn't have to restrain you after you make the mistake. It can restrain you before. Or if you go through with it, then it'll be a humbling experience. So that's that word chastening. Okay, discipline, we know what that means. So correcting the path before you get there. So we can course correct. Even though you started walking in that direction of the strange woman, you can change your mind and say, let me not. Okay. All right. So the next word is and is also the same word as reproof. Okay. So that word is tokeka. Okay. Tokeka. So this word, it actually means reproof, chiding. Okay. So reproof is an expression of blame or disapproval, but chiding is full of rebuke or critical. So I think we don't like instruction because it feels like that. It feels critical. It feels like you're getting put down, but really it's warning. There's lessons in it. There's wisdom in it. So if we stop looking at it, even though sometimes through the person that it's coming through, it can feel condescending and you did this wrong and just act accusatory. If we could get through all that noise and focus on what are they really trying to keep me from, then we can find the wisdom in it and course correct early. So that's what this whole thing is about, course correcting early. That's the goal. Okay. The goal, #goals, course correct early. Okay. Before we get there. All right. So, now this next word is my heart. Okay. So my heart, leb or lav, that's the way it's pronounced, lav. I love that because that heart is so rich. It's so rich. There's so many layers to it. But specifically in this verse, it's talking about the inner man, indefinite, okay, soul, your comprehending mind, your affections, and your will. Okay, so that's what this heart is. So how have I hated instruction? And my heart, my soul, my will, my comprehending mind, my inner man, all of that, right? All of that came together and made me. So not only did, your mind kind of go against you in this moment, you felt justified in doing whatever you wanted to do because of the hate that grew, right? The hate wasn't just like, oh man, I didn't like the way that person said that to me. No, this hate grew over time. So over time, it developed something in your mind that told you to continuously hate instruction or walk away from the wisdom or not pay attention to. I love this next part. So it says, and my heart despised. So my heart, not only did I hate it, but I despised. All right. So that word despised, it means contemn. Okay. The same root word as contempt. In the subject of being wicked and foolish. Okay. So this word contempt means the feeling that a person or a thing is beneath consideration, worthless, and deserving scorn. So do you see how the enemy works in our hearts? not only are we going to hate instruction and build up things in our mind that make us justify our hatred of the instruction, but then we're going to adopt a feeling. So the despising is adopting a feeling that that person that's correcting you and what they're saying is beneath your consideration. It's absolutely worthless, and it deserves for you to scorn them or disrespect them and the words that they're trying to tell you. Okay? Contemn, it just means to treat with regard or with contempt. So not only do you feel that way, now you're going to treat that person. So you're going to actually let out the emotion of contempt against the person. This is diabolical, right? All of this is from the enemy. Another word is spurn, okay? Spurn means to reject with disdain or contempt. So that despise, it's not just feeling it. You're going from the despising to it's an outward expression against the person that's giving you the instruction. Okay? So whenever you start feeling that way, that's an indication that, one, the person that's telling you that is correct in correcting you, right? They should be correcting you, because now you're starting to feel some type of way. Whenever you feel some type of way, that's an indication, all right, let me pull this back in, okay? Because why do I hate? Why do I have disdain? Why do I have, disgust? Why do I want to like condemn this person, scorn them even? And it could even, get to rebuking that person. Now you're telling them, don't you ever say that to me again. You know what I mean? This is all from the enemy. These are personalities of the enemy, also known as iniquity, the personality of sin. Iniquity, okay? So this is why Jesus has come to remove this iniquity far as the east is from the west. Far from us, he removes this iniquity, this type of feeling that we get, okay? And that's it, okay? So for verse 12, we're just going to stop it here. I'll do verse 13 on another video. But this is so intricate in the way that the enemy manipulates our emotions when it comes to correction. And it's not to be taken lightly. This is something to be aware of. It's time to open our eyes, become alert and aware, sober and vigilant, says the Lord. Okay? Be sober, be vigilant, for your adversary, the devil, he's continuously walking around seeking whom he may devour. When the enemy went to God, God said, where have you been? Oh, going to and fro about the earth, right? Before God suggested Job to test Job, right? To further refine Job, right? This is necessary. It's necessary for us to course correct, to pull it in, because the enemy is always seeking. He's always got tricks up his sleeve. He's always scheming. He always has a plan. You see how deep this plan went. It started with the feeling. Oh, I just hate it. No, I actually hate it to the point of acting on it and causing harm to the person that's correcting me. And I'm despising it. So I'm feeling like they shouldn't even be telling me this. And then I'm going to say something to them about it, right? Further pushing your help further away. So let's just be wise. Let's be familiar and understand what the word is telling us in this chapter 5. This is probably, I see why I would get so much like conflict around trying to record this video, because it's so necessary. Like this chapter 5 of Proverbs could keep us out of so many situations. So I just praise God for that. God bless you, and I'll see you on the next video.